What's up, everybody, and welcome back to round 12 of Inside the Clinch. My name is Johnny, and I'm joined with Eric, as always, my partner. And we have a lot to discuss this week. We just finished Fight Island. We had three events, starting with Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, and then we had Michael Chiesa versus Neal Magny. And this weekend, we had the notorious one, Conor McGregor, making his return over Dustin Poirier. A crazy, crazy upset. But before we get into all the fights, I want to ask you, how you doing, bro? How's this week treating you?
It's been a rough week, but work sucks. I'm glad to finally be doing something I enjoy to kind of take the stress off the week. So, glad to be here with you, man.
Yes, yeah. So there's so much to process. Where do you want to begin?
I think we should just take it from the top. Let's start with the top of UFC 257 and work our way down. I mean, there were shockwaves sent throughout the MMA community this weekend.
That's for sure.
So Dustin Poirier TKOs Conor McGregor 2 minutes and 34 seconds into the second round. A lot of people did not think Dustin Poirier would win, and the few that did think he was going to win, they did not expect him to win the way that he did, and as soon as he did. Uh, so I mean, crazy how this all the build up to this fight was crazy, and then how everything played out was even crazier in my opinion. What's your thoughts, man?
So first of all, I just want to break down the fight a little bit. So, so this is how the fight started. So they start off standing up, obviously, and within the first 30 seconds, Dustin Poirier gets a takedown. They scramble a little bit. Conor McGregor is able to get up to his feet. They're in the clinch, and I feel like Conor McGregor was able to control the clinch. He landed those signature Conor McGregor shoulder strikes, which honestly, before when he fought Cowboy Cerrone, I was the one that was saying that like how does anyone get hurt by those shoulder strikes? But the way Conor utilizes those shoulders is honestly spectacular.
Yeah, he puts
So
all
yeah,
his weight into it. It's very unique the way he does it.
yeah. So I feel like Conor McGregor won the first round. He landed some great punches. And then leading into the second round, I feel like Conor McGregor, the first minute of the second round, Conor McGregor was winning, and then the tide started turning, and then you know what happened. Dustin Poirier got that beautiful knockout over Conor McGregor, that nobody was expecting. And the narrative around this fight before, people were saying that if this fight went into the third, fourth round, then Dustin Poirier has the advantage. God, were we wrong?
Yeah, man. I mean, just to reflect off what you said, I mean, Dustin started off the fight with a great game plan. Threatening the takedown. He showed that the takedown is there from the beginning of the fight. Give Conor something to worry about. Conor did a great job standing up, and Conor, as you said, Conor had the better of that first round. Most people would say Conor won the first round. He almost had that TKO in the first. I think another 30 seconds or another minute, Conor probably would have won in that round. And then Dustin started, digging in those calf kicks and immobilized Conor pretty much. Conor wasn't able to move the way he needed to move, and eventually he got clipped beautifully by Dustin Poirier, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, so that was my next question to you. So do you think that like people are saying that Conor McGregor basically lost because, and what Conor McGregor was saying was one, that ring rust played a factor, and the other were those leg kicks. He said my leg is dead, my leg is dead, my calf is dead. And apparently people are saying that Conor McGregor was never prepared. He wasn't prepared for such leg kicks, which is honestly kind of sus, you know. But do you think that Conor McGregor lost due to those leg kicks?
Yeah, I definitely think those leg kicks changed the game for Dustin Poirier. He didn't get too many. He got a couple of them in. I don't think they landed the same way that they did in the second round. He landed a few light ones in the first, and didn't seem to affect Conor. From the start of the second round, you see Dustin Poirier, digging them in, and Conor kind of slows down. He freezes up for a second. You can kind of see he's not putting the same amount of weight on that foot as he initially did. And then once, Dustin Poirier started laying on the punches, Conor McGregor tried to move out of the way. And as you saw, I mean, he looked like he couldn't move out and circle out the way he needed to. And Dustin Poirier caught him with a beautiful hook or uppercut. I'm not sure what to call it, but he caught him beautifully and finished the fight from
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Dustin Poirier landed a right hand. But I agree with you. I believe that the kicks definitely had an impact on the fight. But what my take on this is that I don't think that Conor McGregor lost because of the leg kicks. Conor McGregor just got hit in the face. He got stunned, and he got knocked out.
I
And
mean,
then
yeah, but that got set up by the leg kicks, in my opinion.
you
It
think
was a
so?
tool. It was a tool for Poirier to get to the finish, in my opinion. Yeah, without the leg kicks, the fight would have played out completely different. In fact, I think Conor would have probably had his way with Dustin Poirier in that round if Poirier wasn't able to slow him down the way he did.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I thought Conor McGregor looked phenomenal after the first round. He didn't even sit in the stool following his first round. He sits down. This time, I guess he was in better shape than he ever was, as he said, and he didn't need the stool. But let me ask you. So it's 1-1 between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier now. So if they were to rematch, we're going to get into the lightweight division after this. But if they were to rematch, who would you have on the rematch? Who would you take?
The last fight would play out similar to this fight. He was going and saying he would get the knockout in 60 seconds. And I think there was just some mental elements Conor kind of padded for himself, so to speak. I think if they were to have a rematch, especially if it would be soon, I think Conor's hunger would come back. Motivated Conor would be back in full flesh. And I mean, I think he could win. I mean, he almost won in that first fight. I mean, he needs to tweak a few parts of his game, kind of figure out how to either counter that leg kick or avoid that leg kick, and I mean, a few adjustments, he can beat Poirier.
So you think Conor McGregor is still that elite athlete that we're accustomed to seeing?
He has the capability to be. Is he still that guy? I don't know, but he definitely still has the capability to be.
Because ESPN released an article saying basically like debating whether Conor McGregor is still the same elite athlete as he once was when he was the double champ. Do you think he is, or do you think he's regressing a little bit?
I want to say he's not, but again, he definitely could be. It's the saying, it's hard to wake up hungry when you wake up in silk sheets. I mean, Connor's living the life. He has all the money in the world. He has all the fame in the world. He has a beautiful family with a third kid on the way. I mean, picture perfect. Kind of have it all. So I mean, what is he fighting for at this point? You know what I mean?
Okay, let me ask you one more question about Conor. So, Conor McGregor, not as you usually, Conor McGregor is very arrogant, very, I would say, disrespectful in the press conferences. This time, he was very nice, very well spoken, very soft, very generous, um, similar to how he was in the Cowboy Cerrone fight. So, do you think that plays a role in Conor McGregor's performance? Do you think he, in any way, feeds off of being, the notorious Conor McGregor, sit your fucking age, whatever the fuck he says, you're 40 years of age, just your age.
Yeah, I think that definitely plays a big factor. I mean, we saw it play a huge factor in the Aldo fight, that got Conor a win in about 10 seconds. We saw it play a factor in the first Poirier fight. We kind of saw it early in Conor's career. Like I said in I think it was the last podcast, Conor's game is to get under your skin before the fight even starts. That way, when the fight's there, he's already has a one up on you. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit shocked to see how humble Conor was. I don't necessarily want the bus throwing crazy Conor back, but something in the middle would be nice. You know what I mean? Where he still gets some nice headlines, some nice punchlines, and take some jabs at his opponents and kind of irritate them a little bit, I guess, verbally before he actually gets in there. It
I
could
hope
have
he
played a
comes
part.
back, man. I hope he comes back. It's like I was so excited. I think we were all a little fooled, but I think we all underestimated Dustin Poirier a little bit. You saw like my take on this, like we saw the fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, he landed that right hand and knocked down Conor McGregor. And Khabib is a guy that's a predominantly a wrestler, judoka, sambo athlete. He's not really
Yep.
he's not primarily a striker, and he was able to do that to Conor McGregor. And this is the second time we're seeing that Conor McGregor falling to strikes. So does that say anything about Conor?
Are you inferring he's a glass jaw bum?
I think he's becoming glass jaw bum. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I mean, the lack of activity maybe catching up. The age might be catching up.
The
He
money for
isn't.
sure, as you said.
I mean, look, he's in his early 30s. This is usually the point where the peak starts to fade off. I mean, this could be the downhill, athletically for him, and his chin could start deteriorating. I am a little bit surprised though, because it's not like he was very active and always in the gym and constantly taking shots to the chin. I kind of think Khabib and Dustin Poirier just had very well timed shots that perfect place, perfect time, and were able to knock Conor in his ass.
Yeah, but the way Conor describes himself is like Max Holloway after his phenomenal performance over Calvin Kattar. He said that I'm the best boxer, and then Conor replies to him saying, LOL, me, implying that he's the best boxer. But honestly, I don't really think that's the case anymore. Maybe a few years ago that might have been the case, but I don't think it's the same Conor anymore.
I was
As
also
he
shocked to see that Conor wasn't kicking as much in this fight. I mean, he was mostly using his strikes. He wasn't really using his kicks. If you look
mostly using
early,
his boxing, yeah.
yeah, which was a little bit weird. And I think, similar in his last few fights, we haven't been seeing his kickboxing as much, which is weird. I feel like that's part of his bigger advantage. I feel like better than his hands is his kicks set up his beautiful punches. You know what I mean? That end up in a KO. I was shocked to see that he didn't utilize that more.
Yeah, and there was also this picture that I saw on social media. I don't know if you saw it, but they compared Conor's stance in a fight about 5 years ago to his stance now, and they're saying that back then he was like very loose. You know, he had that
Yeah.
that karate stance thing, and now he was standing stiff like a orthodox type of fight. Um, it's kind of a different Conor McGregor to me. I don't know.
I mean, look, he's definitely not the same savage he used to be. I think we can all agree on that. But whether or not he still has it, I think only he can prove it.
Yeah, so before we move on to Michael Chandler and Hooker, let me play you a little clip from Conor McGregor. This is post-fight, the post-fight press conference, and this is what Conor McGregor basically had to say about the leg kicks, about his performance, and I guess what's going to happen after this. One thing that surprised me in that is when he said that he's not really upset by the loss, and he said that he mentioned that if you listen to the press conference, he mentions several times that he's not really upset with this performance, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a little iffy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Conor back in the ring. I think everyone agrees. I want to see what he has left and if he still has the hunger or not. If he doesn't have the hunger, I hope he stops tweeting out like an angry junk at all the active fighters and let them do their thing. But motivated Conor is definitely a threat for the division.
For sure. So let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. Michael Chandler making his UFC debut, the former Bellator champion. I believe he was 2-time or 3-time Bellator champion, against Dan Hooker, primarily a phenomenal striker. Let me hear your thoughts on the fight.
That was another amazing shocker for this fight card. Holy shit. So Michael Chandler made his debut against Dan Hooker, who I believe was coming into that fight ranked number 5. Everyone knew that Michael Chandler had heavy hands, but I don't think they thought it was this heavy. He landed a beautiful overhand that just put Hooker like right on his ass, and which is really shocking to see because Hooker's fight with Poirier and Hooker's last few fights with against some really strong strikers, they weren't able to put Hooker on his ass the way Chandler did, and he did it in the first round in 2.5 minutes. So halfway through the first, lights out, and I mean, Chandler was pumped, and I mean, it was an exciting win for him.
Yeah, I'll play the little clip of Chandler right after I say this. But Michael Chandler, I thought he was phenomenal. He came out there very confident, very calm, just being regular Michael Chandler, pressing forward. But the one thing that about this fight was I thought that Dan Hooker was a little bit reserved. I thought he was like running away. He's the taller fighter. He's the longer fighter. I thought he should have utilized his range and he should have fought like that. But I feel like he was a little bit hesitant in the beginning, and that cost him. And Michael Chandler was able to land that left hand, that beautiful left hand.
It was a beautiful punch.
And he was able to take out Dan Hooker. This is a huge deal, of course, but also we have to remember that Dan Hooker has 9 losses. Dan Hooker has been beat before. So I'm not going to take anything away from Michael Chandler, but I want to see him go. I want to see him face the big dogs in the division, and then I would know better if he belongs here or not.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely made a statement. He definitely belongs in the top 10 at the UFC. He made that clear. A lot of people saying that he gets a title shot. I don't think that's fair to the rest of the division. This is one of
Definitely
the
not.
most stacked divisions in the UFC right now. Um, he's definitely a contender, but I don't think he deserves a shot yet. I think one or two more fights against some high-ranked opponents, I think he can make a statement then that he gets a shot at the belt.
Okay, so let me play you another clip. This is by Michael Chandler right after the fight, and after I play this for you, let's go over the lightweight division and who we think should deserve the next title fight, the next matchups to make. So this is Michael Chandler right after the fight.
But I got to get something off my chest. I tell y'all this. This is the greatest moment in my professional life. Conor McGregor. Surprise, surprise. There's a new king in the lightweight division. Dustin Poirier, your time is coming, and Khabib, if you ever do see fit to grace us with your presence back here in the UFC octagon, in your quest for 30, you know you got to beat somebody. So beat me if you can. God bless. See you at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, how about it? Iron Michael Chandler.
Oh my goodness, then Michael Chandler pulls out the old Ric Flair. This is
Yeah. So how about that for you?
I hope Michael Chandler knows this is not the WWE. That's the one thing I think he brought over from Bellator. I always felt like the fights at Bellator were great. The fighters were great. The promotion overall was always a bit weird over at Bellator. There was always kind of that WWE vibe I got from them where they were extra animated, and there was always, I guess, I don't want to say scripted, but more animated, I guess is the right word to use. I felt like that just sounds like he's coming from Bellator. Like you can tell that was a fighter from Bellator. His statement, I agree with. I didn't like the way he put that across. I felt it sounded a little bit WWE like.
Yeah, he definitely rehearsed it. He definitely prepared to say this, probably in front of his mirror like 1,000 times. I agree with you. It's a little bit cringy, but I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I've been reading a lot, and what people are saying about Michael Chandler is apparently Michael Chandler, since he got into the UFC, he's been making the perfect moves, and including that call out after the fight. I mean, it is what it is. Like I don't really have any feelings towards it, but I don't know.
Hey, I mean, a man that was in his position, those are the right call outs to make. You're calling out the champ that's either going to come back and fight or leave, or you're going to call out the number one contender. And he checked off both boxes.
Or Conor McGregor, the biggest money fight.
Exactly. So I think, he put it out there. It's not necessarily going to mean that he's going to get those fights, but it's definitely amazing that he put it out there like that, right after the fight when he had all the attention on him.
All right, so let's talk about the fights. What fight is he going to get then?
All right. So let me give you my opinion on
Eric, the matchmaker. Let's go. Right. Let's go, Eric.
Watch out, Sean Shelby. I'm coming after your job. All right. So I think the title fight, assuming Khabib does not return, I think Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier needs to happen for the belt. I don't necessarily think Poirier is the best contender. If Khabib remains, I definitely think Oliveira deserves the belt. Oliveira deserves a shot at Khabib for the belt, and Poirier can fight the winner of that fight. But assuming Khabib is out of the picture, which is what it seems like right now, I think Oliveira versus Poirier for the belt. Now, for the number one contender spot, I think you should put Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. I think the way they're sized, the way that the stylistic matchups, I think this will be an explosive and exciting, really, really exciting fight. And then I think it's also time to make Conor versus Tony. So I know this fight isn't necessarily as hyped as the Tony and Khabib fight was, but Conor and Tony have been talking a lot of shit to each other over the years for a long time. They were in the same weight class. They just happened to not cross paths. Tony's coming off of two losses after a crazy winning streak. Conor's coming off of a rusty latter half of his career. I think the perfect time for Conor and Tony is right now. And the next fight after that I think that would make sense to not leave Hooker out of the picture. Why don't we give him Kevin Lee? Kevin Lee's kind of 1 foot in welterweight, 1 foot in lightweight. And if he's still kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I think Hooker versus Lee might also be a very interesting stylistic matchup.
I think that's actually a bad matchup for Hooker. I think that Kevin Lee with his wrestling is going to be able to dominate the fight.
Kevin Lee kind of needs a
what
win
about
recently. He hasn't been looking too great.
what about your boy RDA? RDA and Hooker. What do you think about that?
So No Name MMA show is engaging with us earlier this week. Who the fuck is that guy? I mean, come on. RDA is nowhere near this title contention picture. I mean, what was the last big win RDA had? What was the,
Felder.
Okay, and where's Felder in the rankings? You know what I mean? Like, it's not an impressive win. He didn't finish. I mean, I don't think RDA is anywhere near this conversation. You know what I mean? I think we have a stacked 5-6 top 5, top 6 people in the division, and between them, I feel like this division is going to be very, very busy at the top over the next year. So 2021 should look exciting for lightweight.
We spoke about this before the show, and you know that I agree with you. I think that Conor McGregor versus Ferguson is the perfect matchup to make at the perfect time. Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. I don't want Charles Oliveira to end up like Leon Edwards, never getting the title fight, or like Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
And then Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. I think that's a perfect scenario. But I think what the UFC is trying to do is they're trying to make that rematch with Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. And I don't know what they're trying to, but they also mentioned Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. So I don't know. All phenomenal fights, all phenomenal fights. And
so let me get your take on this.
Bright future for a lightweight.
I think you and I both agree, Conor, Tony, this is the perfect time for that right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if Conor he has two possible trilogies.
Before I say that, I like the Conor Tony fight, but I'm also not against Conor versus Poirier for the rematch.
Okay, so my question was, assuming Conor Tony's not happening, if Conor had the option to complete one of the two trilogies with Dustin Poirier or with Nate Diaz, who would you rather see Conor fight?
Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
I want to see Dustin Poirier. I mean, dude, Nate Diaz, I know the MMA community is like crazy about that fight. As am I. That's a phenomenal fight. It's an exciting fight for sure. But what does it mean? Who is Nate Diaz? Besides for him being the
but that's
who like BMF, the guy that's like, you know, with the character. But like, who is Nate Diaz? I want to see him fight Dustin Poirier, a guy that's on top. Like,
yeah, but it makes sense for someone like Conor. Conor isn't someone that's active in the division. You know, the first Nate fight didn't mean much. The second, it wasn't for anything. It was two people that hated each other. It was a stylist. It was a great matchup, and it was a war between two people that hated each other. You know what I mean? And I feel like all those elements are there this third time around, and I think it would make for a great fight if Nate would sign on the dotted line. I don't know if he would do that though.
I agree. I mean, like if that fight happens, obviously I'm not gonna be sad about it. But personally, I would like to see the rematch with Dustin Poirier a little bit more. They're 1-1, and this past performance with Conor McGregor, he was winning the fight and he wobbled Dustin Poirier. I feel like with a new game plan, with a new strategy, I think Conor McGregor might be able to have a different outcome.
Yeah, I agree.
So Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje, you said, right?
Yeah. I
think who do you have? Two wrestlers, two NCAA champions. Who do you have in that fight?
It's hard to say because Justin Gaethje has fought the top of the UFC lightweight division. Michael Chandler has only really shown us how well he's done against Hooker. Based on the resumes, I would lean towards Justin Gaethje. But it's hard for me to say without seeing more out of Michael Chandler in the UFC.
What about Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier?
I think Poirier would win that one. I think Poirier is a lot bigger. You know, Hooker was also much bigger than Chandler, but he's a lot, I guess, scrawnier than Poirier is. Poirier has a lot more meat, a lot more muscle on him. I definitely don't think if it would be easy fight for Chandler. But I definitely think I don't know who would win in that fight, but I definitely think it would be a harder matchup for Chandler than Hooker.
I agree with you on both of your predictions. Now let me ask you two more. Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. Who you got?
Oliveira, hands down. No question.
Me too, I think. And then the notorious one, Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson, as we'd like to see.
Fuck, that's
I'm just going to say this off the bat. I'm going with Conor McGregor. Tony Ferguson doesn't look too good, man.
You know, I was thinking about it the other day, actually. At first, I was kind of on the fence. The more I think about it, the more I lean towards Conor. Something about Tony in the last fight, just something was missing. Tony again. If I see Tony in another fight, two fights exactly. Sorry. I mean, if I have to see Tony again, I don't know. I hope Tony's not out. Tony's a great athlete. I did not like Tony for a long time. I would always root against him. But I mean, it's gotten to a point where you cannot deny Tony. I mean, the guy is a savage. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think Conor, but I don't know.
But we all know who the uncrowned king of the division is. You know who that is?
Who?
Islam Makhachev.
Hell yeah. Yeah, he's another one that
Soon come.
I don't know why he's not more active. He needs to be more active. Like he fights like once a year. I mean, come on, man. You need to break past the top 10.
Yeah,
He's a huge threat for the division, man.
I think he's probably one of the best in the division. I think he could beat Poirier. I think he could beat Hooker. I think he could beat anyone in the division. Conor, I think he'll destroy Conor.
Yeah. I think the only one that might give him a challenge would be Oliveira if the fight goes to the ground, because I do think Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is superior.
I think he'll be. I'll take him over Oliveira as well. I don't know, man, but good things to come in lightweight. I'm very, very excited. It's the most stacked division in the UFC, and I can't wait to see what the UFC does. Hopefully, they don't fuck this one up. But
for sure, man. So let's go through the rest of the card. We won't go into as much depth. Kind of just give you guys the results for the remainder of the card. So Joanne Calderwood defeated Jessica Ai by decision. Moving on after that, before that, Mahmoud Muradov won Andrew Sanchez. That was a beautiful knockout in the third round.
Beautiful knockout.
Yeah, it was 3 minutes into the third round.
And this is his second fight winning via TKO or KO in the third round, and I believe he's on a 3-fight winning streak. The fighter from Uzbekistan, someone to look out for. He's a dog.
Yeah, definitely don't sleep on this guy. This guy is moving up fast and moving up quietly, so definitely keep an eye on him.
Don't mind me. I'm just going through my DC notes.
So to start off the main card, we had Marina Rodriguez, very huge upset. She defeats Amanda Ribas via KO 1 minute into the second round.
My girl.
That fight, I just want to make one statement. I blame a lot for the outcome of that fight. I mean, the knockout was there. No question on the knockout that Rodriguez won, but Ribas was knocked out. Herb Dean kind of rushes to the two of them. And from my point of view, it looked like Herb Dean kind of pushed off Rodriguez. Well, he made physical contact with his forearm. You know, Rodriguez is in adrenaline, everything happening. So she takes that as, okay, the ref is stepping in, fight is over. Then both of the girls get up. Ribas is still probably seeing 3 of each, Herb Dean and of Rodriguez. And then he says, continue the fight. Even the timer on the bottom shut off because everyone thought the fight was done. Herb Dean said continue, and I think Ribas took a few unnecessary punches.
Herb Dean dropped the ball on that one, honestly.
That was kind of hard to watch. I mean, come on, like with someone with as much experience as Herb Dean, like you would expect him not to make these kind of mistakes.
And that's why they say, some fighters, like they get that one good hit and the fighter falls down and they stop hitting because like they're the good person or whatever. But sometimes I feel like you need to continue going because you have a ref like Herb Dean that you don't know if he's stopping the fight, if he's not. What the hell was he doing?
Yeah, his last few fights, he's had a few questionable calls as of late.
Oh, and speaking of referees, Mario Yamasaki is actually going to be making a return. He's trying to make a return after COVID. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Yamasaki is almost been exiled from the UFC after having some horrible back-to-back calls. So
yeah, he's looking at Bellator and won championships, and apparently after COVID, he's gonna test the waters again.
Hopefully he got his shit together, man. I mean, he's a great guy, but I mean, this is not a sport to mess up on officiating.
I'm not sure what kind of guy he is, but I liked him for a while. When he do the little heart thing, I'll be like, hell yeah, let's go. But Amanda Ribas, man, big upset. I want to say I kind of saw this coming. I don't want to say that I did because I thought Ribas was going to win. But this girl, Marina Rodriguez, she's a tough girl.
Very strong kickboxer in the division, man.
Ribas, the first round, she was completely dominated. She was had ground control for most of the round. And in the second round, Rodriguez was able to land, what was it, the right hand? Oh, yeah, she lands the right hand to take out Ribas. I was very upset because I'm a big Ribas supporter, big Ribas fan. So I hope to see her bounce back and do bigger things than ever.
Yep. So going on to the prelims, working our way down, we had Arman Tsarukyan defeating Matt Favarola via decision. Brad Tavares had a nice win, also winning via decision against Antonio Carlos Jr. Juliana Pena submitted Sarah McMahon 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the third round, and after went on to call out Amanda Nunes, which then the Lioness tweeted, "You can't even get into contention with me." So she's
just trying to die. She's
Yeah,
trying to die.
she said Nunez is ducking her, and Nunez was kind of
Yeah,
just like,
I'm
bitch,
sure
what?
that's what's going. I'm sure that's what's going on.
And then let's see, next card we had Marcin Pacino had a decision win over Khalil Roundtree, which I thought was a robbery. We both watched that fight. We both expected Roundtree to get that win, so that was a bit shocking to see there.
Yeah, another upset, but yeah, I agree with you.
And then on the early prelims, Movsar Evolev defeats Nikki Lentz via decision, and Amir Albazi defeats Jalgas Jumagulov. Sorry, we got some crazy names over on Fight Island.
Yeah.
But yeah, that concludes UFC 257. It was a stacked card, very exciting from top to bottom. Again, what a way we are starting off 2021. I feel like we are setting the right tone for the year. Hopefully, we only build up from here.
Yeah. So before we get into the next topic, Ben Askren versus Jake Paul, I just want to go over the performances of the night.
Yes.
So they went to Dustin Poirier, they went to Michael Chandler, they went to Mahmoud Muradov, the fighter from Uzbekistan, and they went to Marina Rodriguez, the fighter that defeated Amanda Hebas. No fight of the night. These are the only awards given that night. Great week in UFC Fight Island. They're back to the UFC Apex on February 6th with Overeem fighting. Who's he fighting? Volkov?
I believe so. Yep. I think this is Overeem's last fight. Might be.
No,
Is it
no,
double check that? Don't quote me on that.
No. It's not his last fight. This is his last run. He said.
Last run.
Last run. Yes. Okay, so let's move on.
Some very interesting news today. So Ben Askren is set to fight Jake Paul in a boxing match. The two are set to fight on April 17th, and the fight is taking place under the Triller Fight Club banner, and it's going to be on pay-per-view. This is going to be in a 20x20 ring with 10-ounce gloves. Very strange to hear this matchup, John. What's your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, so first of all, this fight is happening at 185 to 190 pounds, apparently. We know that Ben Askren last fought at welterweight, which is 170 pounds. But a little bit about Ben Askren, two-time NCAA champion, a 2008 Olympian, a champion in Bellator and one championship, has a win over Robbie Lawler in the UFC, a well-decorated mixed martial artist, but not really a striker. He has, to give him credit, he does have 6 wins, either by KO or TKO. But this is going to be a test for him, and the MMA community, for what it's worth, they're rooting on Ben Askren because they don't want to see this YouTube clown get the better of him. They don't want to embarrass the MMA community.
So yeah, so I guess building off what you said, Ben Askren does have some TKO wins, but those were pretty much all ground and pound stoppages. You know what I mean? None of those were clean knockouts. None of his strikes really hurt anybody, from standing. So yeah, like you said, he's a wrestler. He's a phenomenal wrestler, and he's gotten through his career as a wrestler. He was the one championship belt holder. He was the Bellator belt holder, and I mean, he fought in the UFC, didn't go his way, but the guy was a phenomenal wrestler that knew how to use it in an MMA ring. Now, if you take this guy and you put him in a boxing ring where he can't use any of his skills, what does he have left? Like, his striking, as we've seen, horrible. I mean, we saw in the Damian Maia fight, horrible striking. I mean, the guy's a wrestler, but
he doesn't use it because he doesn't have it.
Yeah, which is why I'm surprised that he's taking this fight. I mean, I hope that Ben Askren wins, but I don't see any possible way for that to happen. I mean, Jake Paul, he's 2-0. The guy's young. He's an athlete. I mean, he's in the perfect age to learn right now. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's absorbing all these new boxing techniques like a sponge. Even if you watch his first and second fight, you can see the difference in the movement, the difference in the footwork, his stance, the minor details are all getting slowly polished. He has look, the dude has 100% finish rate as of now, being 2-0. Ben Askren,
he fought Nate Robinson.
Fair.
A basketball fighter that literally looked like he never even saw a fight in his entire life. The way he was fighting, it was honestly ridiculous. That's not even considered a win over Nate Robinson. That was honestly a shit show and should have never happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ben Askren is predicting a 7th round KO, which is which is
Yeah.
fucking weird. I don't know why he's getting that math in.
So random.
Jake Paul laughed it off on an interview with Ariel Helwani. He's like, it's not even going to go that long. So but I think Jake Paul's predicting like a second or third round KO.
Yeah, so
I'm not rooting for Jake Paul, but I think Jake Paul is going to win. I mean, there's
Yeah.
really not that many other ways. I think
I'm gonna go with Ben Askren. I think I'm just gonna go with the.
You think or you hope? It's two different things.
My gut is telling me Ben Askren
will win.
because why? Because he's been in competition his entire life. You know that.
But it's different competition.
But it's still combat sports. It's still he's been competing. It's like the nerves are probably gonna be less for him. He's been in the situation so many times. He was in the UFC. He's obviously had to strike a little bit. He has experience in that. He has boxing experience, although we don't really see it. But it's gonna be an interesting fight. But let's. I personally didn't know how this fight came about, so let me play you a clip from Ben Askren's Twitter on December 27th, and he basically explains how this fight came about. So this is Ben Askren.
So let me give you a little recap of this situation. I'm retired, coaching wrestling, doing some podcasts, buying some Bitcoin, enjoying life. I don't really want to fight anybody. So in November, this jabroni, Jake Paul, calls me out, puts up a poster with my name. Haha. It's kind of funny. Whatever, right? No big deal. Well, then a couple weeks later, get a couple texts. Then a week after that, I get some calls. I get an offer. Okay, this guy really wants to fight. Am I opposed to making some easy money, beating up a YouTuber? Of course I'm not. Right? So what do? Sure. Jacob, I'll fight you. No problem. I accept publicly on Twitter. Nonetheless. Since then, Jacob's went silent. Jacob's kind of a coward. Sorry, guys. Don't think the fight's happening.
This is in December 27th. This was before the fight was made. But let me play you one more clip. This is the last one I have, and this is Jake Paul on TMZ a few days ago. So,
man, I'm excited. You know, the fight got announced today, and it's surreal, bro. Like I'm young, I'm hungry, I'm doing big fights, I'm staying active. Triller Flight Club, Snoop Dogg's commentating. There's going to be massive undercards, amazing musical performances. You know, it's only my third pro fight ever. And we broke records in my second pro fight. We had the 8th biggest pay-per-view ever. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I'm calm. I'm relaxed. I'm in great shape. Life honestly couldn't be better.
yeah, so that's that. We have the fight coming up on April 17th. Should be a weirdly exciting fight. As I said, I'm going to go with Ben Askren, Funky Ben.
So one thing Ben did say that they want to highlight. I mean, he's not wrong in saying that he will get some money fighting a YouTuber. I don't know if he's necessarily going to beat up the YouTuber, but I mean, he's definitely going to get a nice paycheck, probably better than what he's got in the UFC or other organizations, because, you know, boxing just pays better overall. And also, if you're thinking about it from Ben's perspective, I mean, he caught a devastating flying knee in 2018. I mean, how much worse can it get in boxing? You know what I mean? It's padded gloves versus like a bare knee to the head. I mean, I feel like he's gotten the worst of the worst that could happen to him.
Listen, Jake Paul, I feel like he picked a very good fight, because what the people are saying about Jake Paul is that he hasn't really fought anyone. He just fought a basketball player, right? So now he's fighting an actual mixed martial artist, but this mixed martial artist has very limited striking. So I feel like strategically picked him because he thought that he would have the better of him in the boxing area. Because if Ben Askren gets wobbled or anything, he can't shoot the takedown. He has to continue standing on the feet and continue fighting. He can't rely on his wrestling. So we'll see what happens.
Jake Paul actually said that on the interview with Ariel Helwani again. He goes, "What are you gonna do? Shoot for the double leg? Like you can't. It's not an option. You can't do that." So I don't know. I mean, Jake Paul, like I said, he's an athlete. You know, you can see it in the way he's built, the way he trains. I would like to see Jake Paul fight some actual boxers that are lower ranked and work his way up. I mean, you can say with his publicity, you know, he can skip a few rankings here and there. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But, you know, the kid has potential. I don't like that he's handpicking these people to fight, because, I mean, they're not challenges for him. I mean, he makes them look great. I'm sure it looks great for him on the internet, and, you know, his popularity is going up. But, I mean, if he wants to be a boxer, I feel like you need to have some relevant fights. You know what I mean?
Listen, sooner or later, Jake Paul is going to get his ass whooped, because I understand that he's a great athlete or all those things that you said, but he started boxing at a very, when he was already older. He's obviously doesn't have the basics that a professional boxer has. So when he's there, when he's matched up with a real boxer, with a real threat, it's going to be a very bad night for Jake Paul. And I'm very excited to see him get knocked the fuck out, bro.
I just
And
got
that's,
another idea. I just got another
and
idea.
that's who I want to see him. You know who I want Jake Paul to get knocked out by?
I have a feeling you're going to take my idea right now. Who is it?
Amanda Nunes.
No, I was not going to say that.
What
What I was
do you
going to
want?
say, since Conor lost, he's probably not going to have that Manny Pacquiao fight. I mean, I would love to see Conor knock out Jake Paul. I feel like that would be fun. I mean, he can get back for his boy,
Imagine-
Dylan Dennis. I mean, it would be a horrible fight for Conor to take, but I would be all in on that one. And I think Conor's going to violate Paul.
Imagine Jake Paul fights Conor McGregor and he beats Conor McGregor.
Conor got to go
Holy
under
shit,
a
that's-
rock. That's it. Career over.
Yeah,
Car-
I personally
Bro, to
think
get your
that Conor
ass beat
should
by
go
a
under.
YouTuber, career over.
I think that Conor McGregor, my personal opinion, if I was his relative, if I was his friend, I would tell him to quit MMA. You know, you've done everything. Stop jeopardizing your health, your future. You already have so much money. Like, what's the point already? Like, one bad hit, you could be concussed for the rest of your life. You could be damaged for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point? He has a kid now. He has a wife that's been with him for so long now. He has a beautiful family, as you said. I think it's time for him to consider retiring sometime soon. And if these next few fights don't go his way, I think it's time for Conor McGregor to pack his bags and head to Ireland.
Agreed, man. I was
So
forgetting.
guys, follow us on Instagram, Inside the Clinch MMA. On Facebook, we're Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast, as well as YouTube. And on Twitter, we're ITC MMA Podcast. Thank you so much. Share this podcast with your friends and family. And we hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please subscribe to our channel. And
Drop a
get on the-
comment, drop a like.
drop a comment, drop a like, and get on the journey with us, because we're going to be rolling, as we said, all through 2021. Peace.